Hey everyone, it is LZ932 on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me. We are on to the next episode of the Ultimatum, episode 7. But please take a moment before I recap this show that has been edited. Take a moment to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below. Let me know how you think this is going to go. Remember, this episode we're going back to our original partners. Let me grab my notes. So episode 7, everybody is at dinner, remember already from episode 6. They're at the table and they're recounting the issues they've had with the time they've spent with their trial marriage partner. Now we're down to 4 couples because 2 couples left the entire program. So we start with Scotty and Zanaya. She said we started cool because he wants a relationship, and then he switched up after the guys' night. It transferred into the marriage. She has had no contact with JR, but it is stuck in Scotty's head that she's the one that told JR that he said JR was there for a hall pass. Scotty said he felt like his character was attacked, and I'm like, dude, JR attacked your character, not Zanaya. So why is she catching strays? So she said, Zanaya introduced a heaviness into the marriage. No, Scotty, you did that because you were accusing her. Zanaya said, to be accused is ridiculous. I have not done or shown you this type of behavior before. And Scotty does admit that she has helped him evolve. Scotty, I need to see more though. I need to see a little bit more. Caleb and Arya. Caleb said he had to let go of his anger from being here because remember, Mariah is who issued him the ultimatum. He said he was allowed to show up authentically. Now that's my word, authentically. So Arya said she was able to hone in on why she was not ready to marry Scotty, and she does appreciate the calm energy that Caleb has. Arya says she did not want to overstep with Caleb because of Mariah, but he did make her feel seen. Mariah said she needed this time to self-evaluate everything. Nick said he ran into Sandy and was in a bad space because Sandy admitted she kissed JR. JR's like, yo, we had no boundaries. He's like, I entered this with my partner knowing there are no boundaries. I'm not sure how much I like that. There needs to be some boundaries. I mean, golly, you're with someone for 4 weeks and you're coming back to me. There needs to be some boundaries. So Zanaya said she wanted to see what he would do. What would you do to protect or set aflame this relationship? Jared said he didn't know he was being tested. I'm guessing he didn't like it either. Nick said there was nothing wrong with what y'all did, the kissing, but it hurts. Well, if there was nothing wrong, Nick, why are you showing up at the door knocking? Jeez, why are you showing up at the door? Nothing's wrong. Why are you spazzing out? Sandy sits quietly this whole time while JR, Zanaya, and Nick are talking, and she just mute. JR said they went through hell with Nick calling and texting Sandy all the time. I can imagine that. Nick's like he was not himself. And it was not just him, because Sandy was texting she misses him. Now she pipes in to say, yeah, I did that to calm you down. And Nick is like, here you go bringing the drama. No, Nick, you brought the drama. You were the one spazzing out. I'm sorry. So Scotty speaks up and says he wanted to commend Nick. And I said, for what? Scotty, did you not hear? Nick spazzed out and went to their door, knocked on it, denied entry, and knocked again, and was denied entry again. He been texting and calling. What do you want to commend Nick for? He went off. See, I would expect this, Scotty. Since you like to be snappy, you probably commending him for going all the way to the door because you didn't. That's just me putting words in Scotty's mouth. Nick said he was acting, he was acting strange, and I'm like, dude, you start acting like you the wronged party, like you are the victim. And I'm like, Nick, I don't like this. Then Caleb steps up and says, JR was taking jabs at Nick after the apology. And JR said it was disrespectful knocking at the door. Can we all just agree to that? That it was disrespectful knocking at the door in this process. You know what is going on. She is with JR now. So again, this JR taking jabs. It wasn't a real apology. Nick said, hey, I apologize for going off, but I have never felt this way. I. It wasn't an apology. He was just rattling off his woes, not apologizing for how it made JR or Sandy feel. It was an I feel. So Nick said, he feels like they're kicking him while he's down. What? Dude, you ain't down. You actually went up the stairs to knock the door. And sorry don't fix everything, Nick. It don't fix it. You were banging on the door. That could have been a really dangerous situation. Really dangerous. JR said it wasn't an authentic apology. I agree. JR, this is the first time you will see me wholeheartedly on your side. JR, I agree. Nick, the apology wasn't authentic. He just said, hey, let's let bygones be bygones. But to see Scotty and Caleb stick up for Nick, spazzing out the way he did, I was already looking sideways at Scotty. Now I'm looking sideways at Caleb. Caleb, stay out of it. Just like JR said, stay out of it. So Sandy does cry. She says everybody sees Nick as positive when he tormented her through the process. He was attacking her. Nick said, I wasn't attacking you. What do you call banging on the door, Nick? That could be seen as an attack. She mentions that Mariah was in the same position. She didn't go off, and Nick's like, they are not the same position. They are not us. But it was. Mariah was left alone. She did not have a connection to go through this process with. And her boyfriend was in a trial marriage with someone else. Mariah didn't spaz out. Nobody else did but Nick. But Mariah is the closest one to the situation you were in. You know, they say the second trial marriage is starting now. You are going to leave with the person you came with. I was like, I don't know if I want to leave with some of these people. I'm not sure I want to go back as Aria or as, Sandy. I'm not sure I want to go back. Definitely Zanaya, she's like, yeah, let's go. I mean, they talked about, the kiss and everything, but Zanaya's like, hey, I need to get away from Scott. Sorry. So Sandy hugs him and laughs. Nick said he is broken without her. They are back in the apartment. And I'm wondering, Sandy, do you need to feel needed? Do you have a savior complex that possibly you want to put Nick back together? I don't know. He said he realized what he was lacking when he was away from her. And they have the deepest spiritual connection he's ever had with anyone. I don't buy it. Sandy says him being alone has unleashed a lot of stuff. Ooh, unleashed was her word. And I believe you, Sandy. It has unleashed the inner Nick. We need to rewind his conversation with Mariah and let her see that this has happened with an ex before. Nick said he doesn't feel like it was possessive or controlling. He lost himself. No, brother. It was possessive and controlling. But Sandy did step up and say, hey, you really hurt me. He says, oh, he's so in love with her. He cries and he said they'll figure it out. He will walk away if he gets wild again so she wouldn't have to deal with it. And Sandy's like, she never wants him to feel alone. And he understands if she moves on after this because of his behavior. Now I'm smelling some codependency here. He's going off the rails. She's calming him down. She's hugging him. Let me help you. And he's like, I can't be with anybody but you. I'm smelling some codependency. Aria and Scotty, they acknowledge they need to have more fun together. Aria brought that up. He says, yeah, but we work a lot. We're not in the same city. He connected with Zanai because they spent all day together. Again, this is fantasy. Y'all don't have the baggage of the relationship. He said his happiness is more important than his career, and that's spending time with her. Okay, so are you going to move, Scotty, to where she is? But you want to stay close to home because you want your kids knowing who grandma is. She says one thing that Caleb never did that she appreciates with Scotty is that he plans dates. Caleb, you're falling short, my man. So Scotty said he feels Caleb was honest, but no physical connection. He don't buy it. She's like, yeah, he's attracted to me, but she grew, their inner connection and emotional connection. She said she cannot handle Scotty's tone, and they need to find a common ground for communication. Mariah and Caleb, she says she was insecure based on what Arya had said, that it was just a friendship. Caleb was like, don't read into it. But you know why she said that? Because you see it in me already. You know why she said I'm husband material? Because it's exactly why you want me to be your husband. Mariah says somebody's not being truthful. Mariah, I am wholeheartedly with you. Somebody ain't being honest. So Caleb's like, she has some qualities of what he's looking for in a wife, he will admit. But Caleb is deflecting. He's like, yeah, she sees me as a husband because you see me as a husband. Because you see it too already. Caleb, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. Zanaya and JR, they're hugging in the apartment. She cries on how she found out about him kissing Sandy, and then she finds out it was twice. She said she thought they were so committed he would never cross that line. He doesn't even remember how the kisses were initiated. Well, JR, if it was only two, you don't have to stretch your memory too far to remember it. It was just two. But he said that they just cuddled. There was nothing any further. And she says, hey, she cannot hold him accountable because they were broken up. And Jared says he has no feelings for Sandy. I don't believe it. But I do see Zanaya's thought process of, hey, we were broken up at the time. You weren't with me. You were actually with her. Scotty and Arya were at a picnic. She says she wants Scotty to see her. I understand her. Scotty says, do we have that comedic banter anymore? Because we used to have it. He's like, but you see, you don't have emotional baggage with Caleb, so that's why it's all light and fresh. Arya said she didn't want to marry someone who never sees where they can do better and doesn't hear her when she says she's hurting. So glad Arya said this. She goes on to say he's always explaining. He cared more about defending his point than hearing her. I feel you, Arya. I felt when you said that. And Scotty, I hope you're listening. He said he was connected more than physical with Zanaya. And I think there was some editing because I don't think Scotty would have left it without acknowledging what she just said. But Scotty says he can't believe Caleb with this just friendship. That's BS. And then he starts to scold her for cutting him off. That's why he can't be vulnerable with her, because she cuts him off. And I'm like, I do see a little bit of a point, but Scotty, the way you say it is not going to yield the results you want. Because yes, Arya, I do see you being defensive the way you say Scotty is defensive. You are mirroring his behavior or he's mirroring yours. I think you're mirroring his. But be the change you wish to see. And Scotty, golly, the scolding. So Mariah and Caleb, Caleb thinks that Mariah is hyper-focused on finding problems. This is a classic dark arts move. It's like, why are you looking for problems? You just want to create a problem. No, her intuition is telling her there's a problem. She's trying to act on it. She don't know where it is or what it is, but she knows there's a problem. So he said, this is taking up too much of our day already. And she's like, you make me out to be the bad guy because she wants to talk about the relationship. He's like, well, can't we do this bi-weekly, bi-monthly? Tell him when he does something. And I'm like, dude, is she going to sit there? Is it a meeting? Can we schedule it? I mean, come on, Caleb. Mariah says, he believes she's there to only place blame, but she's there to work on the relationship. He shuts her down when she suggests ways they can communicate better, but he doesn't offer a suggestion. He says they need to have more fun because it's serious all the time. This is serious, Caleb. Are we going to marry? or separate. It's serious, Caleb. Come on now. It's the fourth quarter. Sandy and Nick, they're back to, some kind of banter. But Nick wants the physicality to go back together. He wants them to be back in the sheets together. Sandy says she doesn't want physical right now. She wants to clear her head. And Nick feels like she's punishing him. Now, I don't know if production, I don't know if this is editing, that because she's withholding physical intimacy, that she's punishing him. I wonder if it's something else, but we'll talk about it the way they gelled it together. But Sandy seems very subdued. She isn't talking. She isn't her lively self. She's just, I wonder if she's waiting for him to just spaz out. He says he was crashing out a bit when he was saying he loves her. Just a bit. Dude, it was more than a bit. But I wonder if Sandy is playing chess. Because now she's back with him. She has to fulfill this process with him. I wonder if Sandy is just going through this and like, I need to play my cards right. Z and JR says he feels marriage will restrict how he can move, make decisions. He won't be able to make the same risks that he does in his career, but he wants his kids to be financially secure because he doesn't want them to feel the financial hurts he had as a child. Remember, he said at one point as a child they were homeless. He still loves Zanaya, and Zanaya acknowledges marriage is a risk and a commitment to someone. So they say it's 2 weeks till the end. Arya and Scotty, she says he's been doing better and he's been calm enough for her, but she doesn't know if this will last. I'm with you, Arya. Sandy and Nick, she's crying looking at photos, and I'm like, is she distracting Nick? Is she manipulating his emotions away from being spazzing out and hurt to now wanting to comfort her? I'm like, is she playing a reverse Uno? It's like, yeah, you spazzing out, but I'm over here hurting and I need you to now comfort me. Because now Nick is comforting her and caring for her. Nick says, oh, you're allowed to feel and be emotional. And he said he would be less mad if he knew that she was sad. Huh? Nick, that was off. Sandy says, you are my home and family, and it feels good to have you. Sandy, I hope this is for real, because the dark artist in me is like, Sandy is playing Nick. Playing him. Mariah and Caleb, they're not talking. She walked right by him to go on the balcony to have breakfast. And he said, you can come inside. And she said, it's not easy. And he's like, why is that? I'm like, ooh, Caleb, sound like you're lashing out. It may not be. The tone just triggered me into thinking you were lashing out. Mariah said, you don't meet me in a place of understanding. He said, oh, so I'm not solution oriented? She's like, no, I didn't say that. But when she expresses herself, he takes it as him lacking and he shuts down. Mariah, that means he is not solution oriented. He's getting in his feelings and he's sitting and stewing and he's not figuring it out. Come on, he's not solution oriented. Mariah says he feels so distant, she can't even hug him. He said he'll come back to her when the problem is solved. How are we going to solve the problem, Caleb, if we ain't talking? How do we solve the problem if we are not talking? So the couples have a pool party. Nick says he understands JR and Sandy had a connection. Sandy gave him what he needed. I'm like, what did you need, Nick? Because we only heard one thing you needed from her. Okay? They talk about Nick's tattoo that was a mistake. Turns out it's the same tattoo JR has on his hand. Nick's not so happy that he got the same tattoo as JR. And he can't even say that Sandy pushed him to get it. He did it on his own. JR thinks that Nick copied him, and it's because Sandy likes him. Nick wanted something that JR had. Ego! Caleb said he woke up upset a few times this week, thinking he woke up naked next to Arya. He said he saw the dark hair and he thought it was Aria. But when it turned around, he saw it was Mariah. Whew, he was okay. I'm like, Caleb, does this mean that you were sleeping next to Aria? Does this mean? Because if you woke up thinking that, did you stay next to Aria a couple times? Sandy and JR talk. He says he's applying everything she taught him. I was like, girl, are you two really going to do the fact that she's training you? But JR does ask Sandy, was she genuine or fake with him? And she's like, it was total genuine. That's why Nick was upset. So she says, don't let our fears keep us from things that will make us happy. Nick does apologize for his behavior at the changeover to Zanaya. He says they are the only ones who crossed a physical line, is what Zanaya said, our two people. So she tells Nick that Sandy and JR kissed twice, and that Sandy initiated at least the second one. Nick looks physically upset. When I tell you physically, Nick looked like he was ready to spaz out again. Production, y'all should have taken Nick out of this program. I'm sorry. Y'all should have taken him out. So then we see Sandy and Nick back in the apartment. He says, is there anything you want to tell me? Like what JR might tell Zanaya? Sandy's like, oh, did she tell you about the second kiss? Well, you never asked me directly. I'm like, what's he supposed to ask you, Sandy? What is he supposed to ask you? Did you kiss JR directly? Was it more than once? How was the kiss? What is he supposed to ask? She said she wanted to wait because of his reaction. Now that I understand. Sandy, I understand his reaction would get you to be like, whoa. So she was upset with Nick and she was in the jacuzzi with JR and she kissed him. He's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So that means that was after you told me about the first kiss when we met and saw each other at coffee. Nick said he needs a minute. He's like, this is what you do when you're mad at me? She's like, we were broken up. We were in a trial marriage. That I get, Sandy. That I get. Zanaya got it too. He says, please don't touch me. Let's see what I do when I'm upset with you. We already saw that, Nick. We already saw that. You spazzed out, Nick. Come on. We already saw it when you're upset. Sandy said it's different because we're broken up and in the experience, I was with someone else. Nick said, you should leave me alone for a while. I was like, Nick about to spaz. I hope he doesn't go to JR and Zanaya's apartment. I hope he don't know where they live in. He said he's so glad he found out that she is such a liar. Whoa. She was with someone else. Y'all weren't together. Nick leaves the apartment. He's talking to the camera outside. He feels blindsided. He's like, so what next? What next am I going to learn? Then he goes back into the apartment. She wants to talk to him. He really don't want to go. She says, I was going to tell you after filming. Nick was like, after we were engaged? What? That ends episode 7. Y'all, it is heating up. I thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will stick with me to episode 8. It is getting hot. I'm going to have to take off this hoodie. I'm telling you, it is hot. But thank you, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.